Morning, everybody. It is 8:16 a.m. It is July 11th. Good morning to everybody. Yesterday was, pre-market when you're watching my video, right? I said there was not a lot to see, not a lot of edge. The only thing that happened was it did hold. Um, the Nasdaq did hold. It hit the demand zone and also held the most traded price of the month. So I said that was to look out for, but it wasn't really an easy market to read. It was all over the place. So I didn't take a trade yesterday. I had certain things set up, but like just not high conviction with anything yesterday. So I pretty much just watched. Not much edge there. However, let's get this started. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Welcome to my channel. Use volume profile, market profile, along with key levels, supply and demand, gamma exposure levels to map out some plans in the day. See what the market's going to do. Try to keep your head on straight, not be tempted by price action, right? That's very easy to get tempted by price action in this market. It happens to me, happens to everybody. You get caught up with a big green or a big red candle, but you really need to look at structure, and that's what I try to do to keep myself grounded. As always, subscribe to my channel, set an alert, I'll keep you up to date. What's going on with the news? What's going on with the markets? Um, and then you got my social media there, Gonzo719 on Twitter, Gonzo19 Jersey on Instagram. Let's get right into this. Let's get right into the futures watch list. Okay. What do we have going here? Whoa, look at gold. Gold's up 0.48%. Crude's up 0.47. People are buying 30-year bonds today. Okay. The Russell's up 0.24. Russell made a nice move yesterday. Nasdaq's up 0.21. The Dow's up 0.17. ES is up 0.17. Silver's basically flat. 10-year yield doesn't report to 8:20 a.m., which will be in 2 minutes. However, the 10-year yield should go lower. Dollar's slightly down. VIX is down 1%. Ether's down 1.67%. Bitcoin's down 1.72%. Moving on. All right, let's see the leader. JP Morgan. We got banks reporting earnings on Friday. JP Morgan got an upgrade today. Hence, I saw that they have a praising its strong earnings potential. All right. Baba had a big move the other day. Kind of consolidated. Amazon has Prime Day today and tomorrow. It's getting some push with that. Snow made a nice little comeback yesterday. Nvidia price target has been raised from 500 to 550. Also, I saw JP Morgan raise it as well, I think to 495. Apple began selling its products on Tencent. On Tencent's popular messaging app WeChat. So it's trying to grow its presence in China. Let's see, there's lags. Let's see the laggards. Obviously, Meta with Threads, that new app. Google. Google actually did some layoffs. Netflix is down 0.39. Coin is down 0.63. A little weakness in crypto. Well, Bitcoin and Ether. So coin's getting a little weakness. Coin had a nice move yesterday. I was the only thing I was eyeing up yesterday around the 77 level. It held the weekly flip point. So that was that would have been the only trade that I would have been interested in, but I just didn't like the market yesterday. Not a lot of edge to it. Okay, Let's see. Moving on. Top sector stocks. Let's look at those. We got Salesforce up 2%. Haven't seen anything about Salesforce. I don't know if anybody watching knows if something happened with Salesforce, but it's up 2.49%. And I could tell you one thing. I do have an alert set up that was balancing, and that was consolidating for a long time, so it's probably broken out. Um, I do have a little scan that shows me stocks that are in balance. That came up the other day, so that's the one thing I do know about Salesforce, that it was balancing for a long time. So, followed by Roblox, followed by Qualcomm. Is there a lagger? No, not really. Okay, moving on to sectors. Oh, let's fix that. All right, semis. Semis leading the charge, up 0.71%, followed by energy, followed by financials. No lagger. Well, I mean, healthcare, if you want to say it, that's not really a lagger, though, 0.06. United Healthcare has been kind of weak lately. Um, Healthcare was strong yesterday, but didn't really get strength from United Healthcare yesterday. So, interesting, right? And regional banks had some strength yesterday, helping the Russell. And healthcare helps the Russell too. So, industrials as well. So, let's get into some news really quickly. I'm going to punch you over here real quick, and I'm just going to set something up real quick. I don't know why this keeps happening. It's annoying. Sometimes it stays, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. So let's get into some news. I'm sure people know or are aware of these already. All right. So we got Amazon, the 48-hour shopping event, Prime Day. We talked about Apple selling products at 10 cent, and WeChat, Meta platforms. The tech giants Instagram is planning to bring its branded content tools to Threads. JP Morgan stock rose 1.2% after Jefferies upgraded its stance on the banking giant. Zillow stock rose 6.1% after Piper Sandler upgraded its stance on the real estate stock to overweight from neutral. Microsoft stock rose 0.3 after the software giant confirmed that it's eliminating additional jobs. In addition to downsizing, I think that's what I got confused at. Microsoft is having layoffs, not Google. T-Mobile stock rose 0.8 after Goldman Sachs called the wireless network a top pick. Then WD-40 stock rose 5.3% after the chemicals company reported better than expected results. Let's look at some news that I haven't even had a chance to look at. Here's some things. It says U.S. banking giants to report higher profits even as deal making drags. Wall Street banks are expected to report higher profits for the second quarter as rising interest payments offset a downturn in deal making. We know about Amazon. We know about Meta. Let's see. I'm looking for the first time just like you guys. Let's see. Apple. I do know that the mortgage rates went up the highest they've been in a long time. Yesterday, I think in 23 years. That's one thing I know. Just going over this, seeing anything catches my eye. Let's see. BlackRock. They got an upgrade. Zillow. We already know about that. That's about it for there. What do we have on the economic calendar? Bullard speaks at 9 a.m. today. That's what we have today. And obviously tomorrow, CPI. So today could be another day of just balancing out. Because people are not going to put a lot of risk out, right, when you have CPI tomorrow and then PPI the following day. So I don't know what to expect from the market today. We'll have to see. Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get to those daily charts. All right, let's look at this here. Yesterday was kind of like a we basically went sideways, which I expected from the market structure in the morning. See, we kind of hit the 20-day simple moving average. That was support, and then we kind of like creeped up slowly, right? What are we doing now? We're at 440.35. So 440.35. So we're gapping up right now. Okay. So we'll have to see. I mean, I'm not expecting much today. We are in July, and we do have big news coming tomorrow, so I'm not expecting a lot. Okay. So basically, this 438 level, you know, still acting as support. So that's holding it up. And look at the weeklies. Right now, we're basically inside last week. Still an ugly profile for the month. That's what we're looking at as far as a SPY. Now those trend lines held up, right? So if we look at the trend lines here, well, in the SPY, it doesn't look as good as in the futures. So that trend line. So that was actually broken yesterday, but then look, it came right back and tested the backside of it. However, in futures, it was a little prettier, the trend line hold. All right, moving on to the Qs. All right, Qs had more weakness yesterday. All right, so Qs broke the 20-day simple moving average, but then an average to get some buying excess towards the end of the day, and basically had a doji candle. Okay, so it hit the 80 EMA daily. Now this trend line, let's see here. See, in this trend line again, in the Qs, it tested the backside, so it broke it and tested the backside. But in futures, it held. So I looked at both. So that's what that looks like. All right, not much to report here. See, we're inside last week. We broke last week's low, but I didn't expect much. Again, double distribution in the profile. We're basically waiting for CPI. That's basically what we're doing. Let's move to the Dow. Dow had a decent move yesterday. Okay, but look, we're in the middle of the muddle here. Most traded price of the rolling year at 338. Okay, so that's all. You got to do a lot to get out of this. Okay, very messy. You can see the range, right? From here, it's just been trading up here. It just gets caught up in this area. You can see that line right here is the most traded price of the last year. So it's right around there. So it's it's not a great place to initiate a trade. Okay, but what did we do? So let's zoom in a little bit here. So in the Dow, look, you have kind of like a double bottom here. So now look at this. I just got a new level here. So let's put this on the map here. Right from here, look at that. Look at that, 337.10. I might even move this up a little bit to encompass this wick. Boop. There we go. 337.19 has been pretty nice support, right? That was held yesterday. So it didn't quite hit the 50-day moving average, but the thing is, it only opened here, tested this level, and then it got bought. Right? Healthcare, United Healthcare is the largest holding in the Dow. However, United Healthcare wasn't that strong, but healthcare was strong, and industrials. So that propelled the Dow with financials higher, right? But it's still underneath the 20 simple day moving average and the 80 MA. Okay. Let's look at the weekly. See, we're in the middle now of last week. So, but remember, you're at that most traded price. It's just a lot of congestion in Dow. Look, you've been over the last 30 days right here. You're right in the middle of the model. Not a lot of edge there. All right, moving on to the Russell. So the Russell had a big move yesterday. Okay. Let's zoom in here on that big move. So look, we're starting to get a bracket here. Okay, where's that bracket? Let's highlight the bracket, right? It means clearly to see it's right here. That's the trading range right now. Okay, got highs, come down here, come up here, come down here, right? That's the range. So I have an alert set here, and I have an alert set here. So if this comes up here, I'm going to be watching that. Okay, and if it comes up here and breaks and starts to come back down, well, then you have to set up a trade to go back to the other side. Okay, now balance rules. I don't know if everybody's aware of this. I'll go over it real quick. SPX Fahad. Sorry, I don't know when you put that up there. Maybe you can comment below. Comment what did you want to see. I don't know if you want to see me look at the SPX chart, but I'm just going over balance rules here. So balance rules here is if we break to the low side, you usually you do you basically, the rules are you double the range. So we take this range and we double it. It brings us down here. Now look at that, how that works, right at the support, right? So that would be where we go to the downside if there's a breakout to the low. If there's a breakout to the high side, to the top, we should go up to here, around 197. My guess is more 199. So just showing you what the balance rules are, because that's part of the range that this is in, right? That's a pretty decent range now. So I'm going to get rid of that. So just keep an eye on the Russell. Russell right now is at 188.74. So it is, wow, okay, it's gapping up. Oh, okay. Very key. So this Russell right now is flirting with this resistance here. So I am really going to have my eyes on the Russell. Okay, because you have a lot of volume here building out. See right here. So I'm liking the Russell for some type of something, right? Let's look at the weeklies. Okay, you see the range here in the weeklies, right? There's our range. It's over the 10-week EMA, over the 200 week moving average. Okay, so interesting, right? Got a bigger range here. That's from about, let's say, 199 to about 163. That's the big range in the monthlies. And you can see the most traded price is 185 the last month, and the price is above that right now. And we're flirting up here right now. Okay. So I'm very, very curious to see what the Russell can do. All right, moving on. Let's look at that. Let's look at this crazy bond market, because the yield should have went down today. It did. Okay. So let's look at this. Let's look at this move. Okay. So we went right up to this. Now obviously that's a resistance level. Now let's put that right there. So 4.08, that yield has acted as resistance. Now people are buying the 10-year. So and there's a gap here. Let's see what happens, right? If this starts to push up high again, usually that's not good for equities, but we have to see, right? We have to see. Now the VIX, some people are saying it's broken. The VIX popped up over here, but now we're right around here, around 14. Now the reason why people are some saying that it's broken is because of the 0 DTEs and SPX, because the VIX only measures 30 days out of volatility, right? But there's a 1-day VIX now. So, you know, people doing 0 DTEs is not going to show up with the 30-day VIX. So hence there could be a disconnect. What happens every day as what happens 30 days out, because the VIX is 30 days out. Okay, there is a VIX 1-day. I forget the ticker for that. Let me just see if I can pull it up here. VIX 1-day. There it is. So VIX 1D is the VIX every day. So that's interesting. Now, one other thing I've showed you guys once before is this P call, put call ratio, right? And whoa, that's pretty serious there. Oh, I didn't realize that. All right, so anytime I have alerts set up, right? So anytime the put call ratio goes below 0.56, I have an alert. And usually that means call buying is at extremes. And I have an alert that shows me that a reversal could be happening. So you can see the call buying has been pretty, right here, it was extreme call buying, right? And usually signifies a reversal. Now you can see all this call buying of late, right? And whenever there's put buying, see this up here, 1.47, you usually get reversals in the market. But this is pretty extreme call buying here. No surprise of what the market's been doing lately. But that's pretty extreme. That was on July 3rd. So can we start to, this is showing me overboughtness, but I'm just saying that as it's a fact, not that I think it's going to reverse. Just wanted to show you guys that, and we finally end up at the dollar. Dollar had a pretty sell-off yesterday, right here, and it's a little weak. Sending oil a little higher, but we'll have to see. I mean, it's coming right back into this range. If we go back to the weeklies, you can see it kind of rose all the way up to 114, came all the way back down, made a swing high, and now like it's kind of here, right? It's kind of been in this little bit of a range. So you can look at the monthlies. We're just in a range here in the dollar. Okay. All right. Let's go over to market profile. Look at the structure of the market. There's not a lot to read into today. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. But let's just see. Let's just see here. Give me one sec. All right. Let's go over here. Boop. All right. Let's look at the ES, right? Let's look at what we normally look at. All right, so profile showing us. What is the profile showing us? Here's that blue rolling week profile is balance. That's a beautiful profile. It's a perfect picture perfect profile. Okay, that's showing the balance that we're in. That's complete, and it's showing basically the market's waiting. Okay, now the most traded price of the week has moved lower. That is 44.38. 44.38. That's the middle of the balance. Okay. Remember, the big one is 44.15. That's the most traded price of the month. Okay. Now, whenever you're above these levels, that's bullish, right? So I'd have to say prices here or over these levels. Now, since we're in balance, it's not as that's a little feather in the cap for the bulls. Okay, you can see a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. Okay, people are buying the dips. Now, it doesn't mean we go out and break out. It just means that this is what's happening, right? We hit this big level here, right? You kind of see we touched it here, kind of came up, came down, then we're making higher lows, right? So we know we're above those levels, so that's got to say, it's a little bit of a feather in the cap for the bulls, right? And we're over the 20-day simple moving average in futures. We're over the 9 daily EMA in futures. We're over the monthly VWAP as well. So that's another little feather in the cap for the bulls, okay? Also to note, in this big day that we moved up and all the way down, the midpoint of that move that day, we're right at it. So this is now this move that we closed all the way down here, we're at the midpoint of that day. So these are all feather in the caps for the bulls, right? So let's look at our relation to yesterday. That's yesterday's highs, right? Yesterday's lows. All right, and this is the overnight high, overnight low. Okay, so we're very balanced. So we opened here, pretty much almost the middle. We're very balanced, right? We are gapping up, okay? Don't make the mistake there. We are gapping up, but we're very balanced here. There is a gap up though, okay? So first thing you got to talk about is some gap rules. So would be our gap fill. And really quickly, if you've been watching me, really quickly go over this. This is how you judge the strength. This is how you judge strength, okay? So the most bullish scenario is a gap and go, okay? Next is a failure to fill the gap, and it takes off. That's showing you the strength of the buyers, right? Third most is fill the gap and take off. Those are all bullish. Most bullish, second most bullish, third most bullish. Okay? Now, if we fill the gap and start going back into range, well, the buyers are not that strong. Okay, that's how we're going to look at the market, how you're going to read the gap. That's how we're reading that gap. Okay? There is a supply zone here, and it looks like it broke it just now. But we'll get into that maybe a little later with an hourly chart. So what I do notice is we do have a weak low here. Okay? So if we come back down here, this is the level to watch, the 44.38 level. Okay? Why is that? You got a lot of confluence here. So the overnight low, we call it 44.38, is weak. Why is it a weak low? Well, we have overnight low, we have the 20-day simple moving average, we have the most traded price of the week, we have yesterday's most traded price. So if the market was to come down here and even test it, you should get a little bit of a push through. And it's a question, does it hold here and go lower, or does it come back up? But that is a level that would definitely, you'd get some push down for a nice scalp, or and then it could recover, or it could stay down. So that's the level I'm really going to look at, right? That's a very important level. So Now also, the thing I mentioned the other day was this poor high. That's a market profile term. Okay, that's a double top in the 30-minute TPOs right here. That usually going to get repaired. That's longs at poor location, but it also means that shorts came in right here. So if we make our move today and we come up to this 44.76 area, you could get a little push through here to correct this move. Okay, so that's all going to go into scenarios, right? So let's get into that. So let's go over our scenarios. All right, so I am not just going to, when you're all the way up here, gap and go, fine, you can go without me. Okay, but I'd like to see this supply zone taken out entirely. Okay, so for a good scenario to happen, maybe push up, and now here's the move. When we start to come back and test, if we do fill the gap and we hold it and we hold it, even if we dip below and hold it, this could be a launching point for the market to move higher. Then it's got that poor high, and it could break through, hit this naked VPOC. Okay, and it almost brings us to the top of the range. Very, very interesting, right? That's something you'd want to see. You'd want to see that pullback. And if it holds, it could be a decent move, right? That's really what I would be kind of looking at. Okay. Now, if you're going to see some weakness, right? I talked about that week low, right? So, another thing up here would be one or two things. If the market does move up there, well, this could also be a place where the market starts to get some weakness. You're at the top of the range. You could start going back, right? That's one. Second is if the market does fill the gap, start going in. This is where that weak low comes into play. That's that level, right? If you come down here, you could see that quick flush, and then it depends if the market can hold under here. If the market does, we're probably going to test this demand and probably go back to this right here. Now again, that could be defended. That could be defended. But I'm giving you the bearish scenario, right? And then of course, if we do come down all the way down here, what am I going to say, right? The big level. And it hit it, right here. Does it go in this demand? And what does it do? Does it hold it? And then we could possibly go back up again, right? But then, obviously, if it can hold it and breaks this demand, then do you get farther weakness and you break out of this range? That's what you have to see, right? That's what we have to see. Let's go over to the Qs. Our Qs, balance profile. Okay, showing us the balance. We got a most traded price of the week moved, which is about 151.60. Okay, still the big level, 151.20. Now I talked about that yesterday. I said this is that big level. I said you need to see it hold underneath it. Well, what did it do? It came here and hit this demand zone, and it popped above it, right? So we basically hit the bottom part of the range yesterday. Right? This is very important in the NASDAQ, right? So you'd have sellers, 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 sellers. Now, they're going to be on their toes. They're going to be on notice now. Because if we went to the bottom of the range, can't go lower, now do we start to go back to the other end? That's the question, right? So we have a small gap in the NASDAQ. Small gap, very balanced profile. Okay. Now again, Look at the major levels. Most traded price of the week, most traded price of the month. Price is above them. That is a feather in the cap for the bulls. Monthly VWAP, still underneath that. And we're above the 9 EMA daily and 20 simple moving average in futures. Right? So that's that. Let's look at the relation of yesterday to the overnight. There's the overnight high right here. Overnight low. I'm sorry, yesterday's high, yesterday's low, right? Now, here's the overnight low, here's the overnight high. All right, so we're like at yesterday's highs right now. So the ES is a little stronger than the NASDAQ, okay? So this right here is a little more difficult of a trade because you're right around these major moving averages, okay? As a barometer, here's that poor high in the NASDAQ, right? There's that big move higher we made before we fell farther and sold off, right? Here's the midpoint of that move is right here. So you notice that the ES is at that point and the NASDAQ is not. NASDAQ is a little weaker, right? Right here, okay? So that's showing some relative weakness in the NASDAQ. But you really need to see what we do here. And it's the same scenario that I'm going to talk about here, okay? Is you want to see what the NASDAQ does at this level, yesterday's highs. That's really what I'm going to want to see. Even if it comes up here and pushes up, hits monthly VWAP, it could come back down and test this level again. And that's the level that if it holds, you could be making a move. But there's supply up here, so I'd be careful. But then you could hit that poor high, push up to this naked VPOC. Right? Even if you do come up there, obviously the bear scenario is you come to the top of the range, the market could roll over and go back to the other end of balance. Okay, remember there's big news coming tomorrow, so I don't know if we have a breakout today before big news comes out. I don't think that's likely, but you always have to keep your mind open. Obviously, you know, what did we do yesterday? We came in this area, right? We came in here, we broke this level, but we couldn't hold underneath it, right? And you hit that demand. So sellers did not have the strength to push us lower. So now we're going back up. So the most likely situation would be to go up, at least test the top of this balance. So, but if we come back down here again today, that's another test. And if you start, getting some higher lows, then you know what? The market's not ready yet to break down lower or break up, right? That's what I'm really seeing. One piece of news that I wanted to show you guys that I posted on my Twitter, which is very, very interesting. Let's see here. If I go to my profile here, let's see. Let me just see if I can get this. Alright, so basically, let me try to get this. I'm not happy with this. Let me see if I can move this down. Okay. So the NASDAQ 100 plans a special rebalance to curb dominance of Magnificent 7. So basically, July 24th, the Microsoft, you can see, and Apple are almost 13% of the NASDAQ 100. That's almost 26%. Okay? And then they said the 7 largest companies in the NASDAQ 100 account for 55% of the index. So it says it seems likely that this combined weighting will be reduced. It's also likely there might be notable weighting shifts within these 7 giants. So they obviously don't like how heavily weighted these stocks move the NASDAQ 100. So like they said, most likely those weightings are going to be reduced. Now, that probably means that, you know, I don't know if these seven will see some small selling, but it's something to note, right? And they want these weightings to not be as heavy. So I just think that's very important news. I wanted to leave you with that. I didn't want to forget that, but that's very important. I heard that yesterday, and now Monday, July 24th, that's going to happen. Okay. So, like I said, today I'm not expecting much. We have the levels, basically the gap. Yesterday's highs in the NASDAQ and the ES are really what I'm going to be watching. Okay. That's what I'm going to be watching, what I'm going to be looking at. Um, Again, subscribe if you haven't already. Set an alert. That'd be awesome. Give me a like if you enjoyed what you saw. That would help me out. And that's going to be it today. I wish everybody luck, patience. We have our levels. I mean, we're in balance. We got big news tomorrow. So, not expecting much, but it doesn't mean something can't happen. I've said that before, and then something happens. So, you have to always be open. And if you don't hear from me, everybody have a great day.